Hi, as one of the only people that beat all three of the Hell on Earth bosses in like the first 24 hours of the game coming out, I would like to make a little bit of a mini guide on how to actually win on Hell on Earth, because I'm sick of getting screenshots like this. I'd like other people to start doing this kind of damage and not dying. Okay, so I'm gonna go over the classes, the weapons, just everything you need to know. But let's take this in the order that's quickest. So the first thing you need to know is the weapons. So everything in this game does not matter. The G33 is the second best weapon in the game. The kunai is the best melee in the game, and the Vulcan is better than everything else at everything else. Okay, so the Vulcan, just real quick, the Vulcan, when it's well built, can like 2 to 3 tap Skrakes and Flesh Pounds. The kunai just does more DPS than the dual katanas. It does more damage per hit, and it does more hits per second. And the grenade launcher, for some reason, just hits really, really, really hard. It does 400 damage on the initial hit, and the incendiary grenades allow it to just keep burning. So, it also has 126 ammo. So, you just shoot this. You shoot this like you 3-4 shot a Scrake Flesh Pound, which leaves behind a puddle that just kills everything else. And that just kind of invalidates literally every other weapon in the game. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about are these weapon mods. There are random rolls on these, and it's really, really important that you actually get the good ones. So we're going to read this together. Bonus ability, gain 1% bonus damage for each teammate within 10 meters. Since everybody in this game just kind of holds out in a room together, that's 5% bonus damage. Gain 3% bonus damage. That's 3% just for being near one person. Gain 3%, so that's 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. 8-round cylinder, gain 1%. That's another 5. 5 plus 11 is 16. And then gain 3%. 3 plus 16 is 19. So you're looking at about 19% damage for getting the proper rolls on your weapon. Then you consider that you also get the headshot doubling, so it's actually closer to like 38% increased damage just for having the right mods on. And then you consider 38% damage, like that's what like a really good purple ammo does. So that's the equivalent of 2 meh purple mods or 1 really strong purple mod. So it's like adding 2 extra mods to your weapon worth of damage. Yeah, it matters a lot. And the reason why that's so important, crowd control sucks on Hell on Earth. I'm just going to give it to you simple. And the reason why it sucks is also very simple. For some reason, they do not scale in this game the health of the Zeds in multiplayer. So a Scrake in 6-player has the same health as a Scrake in solo player. If you don't believe me, or you think I'm making that up, just go in solo, kill a Scrake, count how many hits it took, do the same thing in multiplayer, realize it's the same number, then you realize damage is the only thing that matters. Also, if you join a game past Wave 1, you will always spawn in with your modded out sidearm, and you will always spawn in with your modded out starter weapon like this. So always mod these out, even if you just plan on starting with your green weapon. Also, every class has their own starting budget. I have them all written down right here. Let me just tell you real quick, because I wrote them all down because I have every class 30. Ninja is 3060, Commando's 2960, Firebug is 3460, NG is 3460, Sniper is 3260, Medic is 3160. And you'll see that I have a weapon that is close to, like right here, starter weapon, and it's close to taking up that exact amount. Another thing I want to tell you about is armor. Please don't fall into the trap of buying green armor. This one I have to start a game to tell you, so I'll talk about that after the perks, but you could just take my word for it for now because I'll prove it to you later. Green armor, going from white to green armor is a 5% damage reduction. Going from green to blue armor is 20%. Going from blue to purple is 30%. So going from 5% damage reduction is effectively fucking nothing in this game. You literally will not notice it. It will not even let you take 1 extra hit from a boss or Scrake or anything. However, 20% armor is a big deal, damage reduction, and will let you survive substantially longer, especially because the armor itself is also blah, 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 it's doing all that shit. So, green armor, literal useless waste of money. Blue armor is where it's at, and that's what you want to run to. Okay, so now let me talk about the perks. The Commando sucks. The Sharpshooter sucks. Ninja is arguably the worst class in the game, and Medic, depending on how much you understand the game and the class, is either one of the best classes or one of the worst. Engineer just kind of exists, and Firebug is better than everyone else at everything else. So let me explain real quick with Engineer, because this is the only one I need to actually show you in the shooting range. Just do this as the Engineer. This is infinite. The Engineer can just do this forever, and he can just sit in a room. This doesn't require ammo. This doesn't cost you money. You can just do this for free in the center of a room, and it will do pretty substantial damage. He also has the best set of perks for one of the best weapons in the game. Okay, now let me do a little bit more breakdown on the classes, because, oh, fuck, I completely forgot. I wanted to have a disclaimer, so I guess I'll just throw it here. I am not insulting you for liking these classes. I am not, you know, demeaning you. I do not mean to attack part of your identity. I am aware you probably think, and when I say you, I only mean you to the people this applies to. I gotta be careful how I word this. I'm aware that classes like Sharpshooter and Ninja are like fan favorites that attract a certain kind of person that like lives vicariously through the class. You know, I get the like fantasy of like, I am the ninja, I'm the melee master, I'm super high skilled, I parry everything. Okay, I get it. Look, these classes are all viable and you can win with all of them. I'm just talking about how to win in the easiest way possible. And I'll be able to substantiate that these two classes are terrible. Okay, so let's start with the Commando. We'll go in order. So, the Commando is just not really that good at anything. After the beta nerfed his weapons, he's just not that good at anything. Like, I don't know what else to say this. His Knight's Bane, literally, even with the 20 whatever % damage from having all the proper mods and co-op mods and stuff, like, he still doesn't have enough damage to finish a wave on Hell on Earth 6-player, the spawns, and not run out of ammo. Like, I'm sorry, like, you just take every damage perk, every damage bonus roll, every damage mod, and he still runs out of ammo. Shooting fast in this game is not good at all. This game is all about ammo efficiency, thanks to the loss of ammo crates, like, making them, like, a buyable thing now. So, you know, the fact that, like, you have to pay so much for ammo in this game means shooting fast for low damage is fucking worthless. There's also no real perks. The biggest issue with the Commando is this shit right here. This is, like, by far and away his best perk, and it's only a 30% damage increase. The problem is, 30% damage increase on a weapon that deals 130 damage when it's properly modded is nothing. Like, you know, I go over to, like, the Firebug over here, who has a weapon that has, like, fucking 20,000 ammo on it, and, like, boom, there you go, deal 20% damage. So the Commando, his weapons are doing, like, you know, he needs to shoot like 7 times to do what the Firebug does in one attack, you know, and he doesn't even get like a benefit for shooting a lot. Okay, so the Firebug I'm going to talk about at the end because this class needs to be nerfed. This class is disgusting. The Engineer is just good. Everything he does is good. I showed you the Bouncing Betty spam unlimited thing. He just has good support for one of the best weapons. He can use the Vulcan fine. The Sharpshooter is terrible because the Firebug and the Vulcan exists. Why would you? Also, 90% of her perks are just bad Darktide perks. Perks that weren't good enough to take in Darktide. You know, stuff like Perfect Shot. Like, yeah, this is cool and all. 70% damage. That's huge. You know, you could do all this shit, right? But do you know what else you can do? The Firebug can already 2-shot Skrakes and Flesh Pounds with the Vulcan, and she can 3-shot them with the Kunai. So why do you care if the Sharpshooter can also 2-shot them? Do you know what the difference between this class and this class is? Not how long it takes them to kill things, because it actually takes them the exact same number of shots to kill things. Literally, the only thing the Sharpshooter does better than the Firebug is boss damage. But I'll talk about bosses in a second. The Sharpshooter doesn't have any survivability, like, at all. You know, she only gets these 2 extra syringes. She doesn't get, like, you know, here's a way to constantly heal. Here's a way to constantly regenerate armor. Do you know who does get all that stuff? Firebug. Firebug gets... no, we'll talk about this class when we get there. So, Ninja. Ninja is bad for a very specific reason. And I'm well aware that this class is, like, the fan favorite. So I'm, like, going to get a lot of people that just do not listen to me just for saying Ninja's bad, because they're going to take it as, like, a personal insult. I'm not saying you can't win with Ninja, but I am saying the reason why Hell on Earth has a 0.4% win rate, the devs posted that, so it's not, like, a guess or anything, is because so many people like to play classes like Ninja and Sharpshooter. Not to say that they can't win, just that if everybody was playing Firebug using the Vulcan with the proper mods, Hell on Earth would probably be like a 10% win rate or a 20% win rate. Anyway, the biggest problem with Ninja is perfect parry just sucks in this game. Not that it sucks mechanically, it's actually pretty good. The problem is lag in multiplayer. In solo, I will say the Ninja is definitely better than the sharpshooter. The biggest problem with the ninja is the firebug is just better than him at everything. It's the same problem the sharpshooter has. So, as some of you more advanced ninja players will have figured out by now, the kunai does more damage per hit than the dual katanas for some reason. It just has a higher damage value, but it also has faster attack speed than the dual katanas, which that means they're cheaper, so you can get them faster, and they are just his best weapon, straight up. So, that's interesting. But as those of you really advanced people will know, melee firebug is just better at doing melee damage than the ninja. And all of Ninja's survivability comes from perfect parry. Do you know what the problem with perfect parry is? This game lags like a motherfucker. You can hit... if you feel like you should be doing more as a ninja or you're dying too fast, it's probably because you actually are low-key hitting the perfect parries, but this game is constantly... because it's peer-to-peer and there's no servers, this game is constantly subject to lag. Let's say you're living in the East Coast United States and someone else is living in the West Coast or, God forbid, EU. You're playing with like 170 ping, brother. There's like 20 frames. You need to be playing like 10, 15 frames in the future, which means you've got like a 5-frame window to perfect parry. So which means you need to perfect parry before, like, 3 times before the perfect parry window is actually there, unless the host lives like in your state. And it's just complete and utter fucking garbage. The problem with that is the ninja, to get his armor back, to get his ability active, which he needs, to get his health back, all that shit that he needs, his damage reduction, you have to perfect parry. Perfect parrying is so shitty and inconsistent in multiplayer that even if you're really good, you can't really depend on it. Which means either not taking his perfect parry perks, which makes him just the weakest class overall, or just accepting that sometimes you're just gonna get screwed. The medic is really, really good, but it depends on how you play him and the skills you take. So every single skill, this guy is a fucking landmine. So like right here, ally revivals are 50% faster and they get more health on revive. What the fuck? This is the worst perk I've ever seen in a video game, maybe ever. If you had instead given people more syringes, maybe they just wouldn't have gone down to begin with. Building to go down, building to recover once people have gone down, it is terrible in Payday. It is terrible. Like, Inspire, the general consensus is Inspire is bad once you know how to play the game now. It was terrible in Vermintide 2, Kruber's Shout. It is universally agreed to be the worst thing in Darktide for that shout. The defibrillators, nobody really carries them in Left 4 Dead. People, you might see it like for certain maps because of like death jumps. But do you know what everybody prefers to carry? First aid kits. Preventing downs is objectively better than recovering from downs. So, using syringes gives me a quarter of my armor back, and I give everyone on the team 2 more syringes by placing a bag down. Or, when the other thing is on Hell on Earth, once people start going down, they're just done. Like, that's it. The chance... if one guy goes down because he was doing something stupid and got, like, cornered by a flesh pound, it doesn't matter how fast you revive them or how much health they revive with. You're the medic. You just fucking heal them. So, and they're just so full of shit like this, The one of the most notable ones is this one. Who cares if they deal 20% reduced damage? You're already healing people in the bubble. So, like... If Skrakes and Flesh Pound are getting in the bubble, that means you don't have enough damage to keep them out. If they're already in the bubble, it doesn't matter how much damage reduction you give them, you have to leave the bubble. So it's better to just give people more damage so they can stay in the bubble longer and not get pushed out and take damage in the first place. The medic is one of those classes where if you really understand game theory and like what it takes to be good, like for something to be good in a game like this, then he's arguably the best class in the game. But if you are the kind of person who puts support first always, you are the exact opposite of the kind of person that needs to be playing the medic. And to give you an example of this, let me pull up another picture here. This is a game from my friend, who also consistently does over 1 million damage because he only plays Firebug. Oh, shocker, shocker. Look at this. 180,000 damage. I'm aware the people that play medic and aren't particularly good at these types of games, I genuinely mean that with no shade. Like, it's okay to be support. You just have to recognize that you need to understand prevention is better than a cure. Guys like this who only build for support heal, like, because think about this for a second. What healing actually matters? The healing that stops you from dying. Not all healing is created equally. And what's more valuable? Doing 1,500 extra healing that's complete overhealing that would not have prevented someone from going down, whether you did it or didn't do it, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, or doing 700,000 more damage that would have just killed, you know, like 20 more Scrakes and Flesh Pounds before they got to do the damage that required you to heal this in the first place. You see where I'm going with this? And that's one of those things where people will argue night and day about, but like everyone who's, you know, I hate to sound like a jerk, but good at these games is like, yeah, that's cool. You know, super support medic is kind of like it's something you make your friend's girlfriend do, you know? Anyway, and if you want more evidence of this, think about killing floor 2. What was the medic's job in killing floor 2 as I run over to start this to show you? The medic's job in killing floor 2 was to take all the perks that gave you damage reduction and damage increase. It doesn't matter the difficulty. Anyway, and make sure he heal darts you on cooldown so that those perks are always active. It's not for the actual heal, it's to keep the damage bonuses active. And like literally everyone agreed that was the medic's job. Nobody wanted a medic that just sat and healed the whole game. And it's the same thing here. Okay, now the last thing I want to talk about is operational budget. Just to showcase this. How long is this video going on for? Oh, please don't crash. Okay, so you see this 2060? Well, we trade the weapon in and we get that 3460 I was talking about. So this is wasted. You do not spawn in with this for some reason. So you need to get this number as close to 0 as possible. Because this weapon will retain its value. So after after wave 1, right? After wave 1, you will sell this and immediately go to like your purple weapon or like the blue grenade launcher or whatever for the engineer. Because if you carry around a 34,600 weapon, you get the starting 500, you get like 1,000-ish for the first wave in solo, then you sell this weapon for like 2,000-ish, and now you have like 5,000 to buy like a blue weapon. So make sure you are familiar with your economy breakpoints. Get a general idea of how much money you have after the end of wave 2 or wave 1. That way you can know that I can sell this starter weapon that uses up all my budget, plus I can consistently make about 1,000-ish per on the first wave. Then you just go straight to the blue grenade launcher, and then on wave 3 you go straight to the Vulcan. And that, by the way, that is the blueprint for every single class. It doesn't matter what class you're playing. Also, you see that? 5% damage resistance, 20% damage resistance. This does literally nothing. This is the world of difference. This is the difference between dying in like 3 seconds and dying in like 7 seconds. All right, that's all for this quick guide.